Hi, my name is Shandini, and okay, go ahead.
Oh, hi, my name is Victoria.
And we're just going to be discussing the 5 questions about the 5 wishes document. So, after completing the 5 wishes document, I think it really made you take into perspective about your life, and it kind of gets you thinking about who you actually want to make the healthcare decisions for you, and like the kind of medical treatment you wish to have, or even if you don't wish to have any certain types of medical treatment when it comes down to that. And also, it kind of gets you thinking about how you want the nurses and the doctors to treat you to an extent to like make you as comfortable as you want to be when you're in that process. And I think the most important thing out of the 5 wishes is that this document kind of really made you take into perspective is like what things do you want your loved ones to know about your health conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So right now at this point, if I were to be, or if Victoria were to be put in a situation where it came down to making these decisions, we would want our family to only know like certain things that wouldn't like stress them out, because then it would make us stressed out, which would kind of impact our health even more.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the questions that were most difficult for us to answer, the first one that we came across was the close to death questions. Those are kind of hard because we want to live our life to its fullest, so we would want all measures of life support to be taken at this point. But I feel like when it comes down to the actual close to death part, where you're actually close to dying, I feel like our decisions would just change based off of our condition and what's going through our head right now. The next question that was hard was how we would want to be remembered. I don't think it's hard to brag about yourself, but it's hard to like pick out the things that you consider worth sharing with everyone else, and also things that you would feel like would make a difference to others by including like some type of advice that you would want to be remembered by. And the last question that we found hard to answer was choosing a healthcare agent. And we found that a little bit difficult because I feel like we both have a lot of people in our life who mean a lot to us and who we would trust to make the healthcare decisions for us. And also, like, you would also take into consideration how they might feel when it comes down to making those decisions, because you don't want the relationship you have with that person to cloud their judgment in making the healthcare decisions for you.
Which can be hard.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like your mom or your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, they don't want to take you off life support. Nobody wants that, but it might come down to it.
Mm-hmm. And there was one particular question that was really easy to answer, and it was about how comfortable we would want to be, because we know ourselves what our body can and cannot take, and so we also know how we would want to feel when it comes close to that time. And none of us want to feel like we are dying, even though we are. So knowing our body and our personal comfortable needs, there was really no hesitation to answer that question. And now I'll turn it over to Victoria.
Okay. Overall, we thought that the 5 Wishes document was a very useful tool for patients, just because it breaks healthcare decisions down into simple language that we think a lot of patients, well, most patients can understand, even if they can't read or something. They can have them read to them by, of course, going through the right legal channels, and that they can maybe understand that better than having an attorney or someone draw up a legal document, which the lingo, it can be hard to understand. Also, having their wishes written down on paper can help a patient visualize them better, we feel. Once you see your wishes laid out, you're like, you can make a plan that's realistic and say, okay, I want this still, I want that still, I want to take that out. And it can also help the loved ones of the patients come to terms with the patient's decision in end-of-life care, how they want that to be handled. Often that's one of the hardest things that they face, is people who don't have a advance directive in place, but who have had, when their loved one is in charge, they're like, okay, well, what would my mom, what would my dad want? We never really discussed that. I'm going to do what I think is best, but still they're not really sure, so they're kind of conflicted. Am I making the right decision? Is this really what they wanted? Did they want to be put on life support? Did they want to be taken off? When did they want to be taken off life support, if at all? So the 5 Wishes document can help clear up some of those questions and make the family feel a little bit more at ease with their decision. Also, the 5 Wishes document, we really feel like it puts the patient back in control of their decisions. They feel like they have a voice and their voice is still being respected, even if they aren't able to communicate. If they're on life support and unable to speak, they have that peace of mind that their wishes will be honored. The strategies we would use to introduce the 5 Wishes document to a patient would be to, I think, and Chandani also, I think, agrees that we would want to gauge their level of understanding of what an advance directive is first, and also if they ever had one done, drawn up, and if they don't, would they be interested in looking into an advance directive such as the 5 Wishes document. Also discussing the benefits if they did decide to have this type of document drawn up, what it can help for them as far as healthcare, their wishes will be respected, and also going through the document with them and explaining the different sections, even though it is in simpler terms than a document drawn up by like a lawyer or would be. I think patients would still like a nurse or someone to go through it with them step by step, and also having their family member there, whoever they want to name as their durable power of attorney or just the person in charge in general. And also another problem that we feel is patients are often unaware of these forms like the 5 Wishes document exist. I know I certainly didn't hear of the 5 Wishes document before
Me
this
neither.
And just being aware, and also it is not available in those 8 states, so perhaps there's another form of document that a nurse or healthcare professional could direct them to. And also they might be fearful of what filling out a form like this means, especially if they're younger patients. They think, oh, well, it probably will be bad luck, or, oh, I don't need that yet because I'm not older yet. Nothing will happen to me. Getting rid of some of these common myths and letting them know exactly what an advance directive is, and that it can be changed at any time that they want. It's not for life. They can always decide to change it. Can help them, can perhaps like bring down their anxiety about filling out this form.
And what Victoria said about like being too young and like scared to fill out the document. I mean, while I was filling it out, I'm only 20, and I'm like, why would I take these questions into consideration right now? But it was a really good way to open up your eyes on some things. So.
Mm-hmm. And overall, I think it's important to fill out an advance directive. After taking this class, I've learned more about what it is. I'm not so afraid myself to fill out one. Mm-hmm. And especially with patients, I think it'll make them feel more in control of their healthcare decisions, especially if in a time where everything is uncertain. It can help them feel a little bit more at ease to know that they're still being respected. They still have a voice. And I think that's it. Do you have any closing remarks?
Just like it would also be really helpful to like pass this information along to your family members. I feel like my parents don't have something like this going on, but I really haven't asked them about that because how do you bring up that type of question? Mm-hmm. But I mean, like now I feel like I can like tell them about this in like in a more presentable way that doesn't make it seem like, oh, this is like we're getting down to the bad stuff. So yeah, I think this stuff is really helpful to just pass along the information.
Yes, and I think presenting this type of form before something happens is a lot easier, perhaps
Definitely.
for the patient while it's happening, having to make those types of decisions. They'll
Yeah.
already have a plan set, so they can just focus on their healthcare plan and getting better.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Thank
That's
you.
all we have for you. Where'd it go?
Oh.